Another TJ Maxx run is not going to fill my soul. Greetings, royalty. My name is Olivia, and welcome back to my realm. So I just wanted to jump on this peaceful winter day that happens to be my birthday, and with this slightly lukewarm cup of hot chocolate, talk a little bit about my no-buy/low buy for 2026. Now, I want to first explain why I'm doing this challenge, which is kind of trendy right now, but has been around for many, many years. And the reason why I'm doing it in 2026 is, well, the recession indicators everywhere. If anybody else grew up during the Great Recession, you know what I mean. But on a more personal reason, I value experiences that are quite costly. Things like going to concerts, visiting different countries, going to conventions for my nerdy hobbies, such as going to DreamCon next year with my other blurred friends, right? And these things are very, very expensive. And so in 2026, I want to embark on a no-buy/low buy to basically save money, rein in my shopping habits, and finally spend money on the things I actually value in life versus knickknacks and other things that really don't matter at the end of the day. So that's my reason why I'm doing it. But you do need some rules around something as challenging as a no buy, let alone a low buy, because both of them are pretty hard. Now, I will quickly explain the difference between the two and why I'm doing a mixture of both of them if you've never heard of this concept before. Like I said, it is trendy, but just because something's trendy doesn't mean everyone's heard about it. I only became aware of this like last year, and I am a bit of a social media addict, so that just goes to show everything doesn't make it everywhere. So a no buy is a very strict basically spending challenge in which you don't spend any money outside of essential needs. And what is an essential need? Well, that's actually personalized to you. Everybody needs shelter, for example. But if you are still living at home or you don't shoulder the mortgage or rent, that would not be an essential need that you need to spend money on. Whereas for me, I have to pay my mortgage, which is essential. I can't not pay that. And so during a no buy, you would make a list of these essential purchases and they are excluded from your no buy. So your bills, like your utilities, if you have a car maintenance, gas, those types of things, groceries, you name it. And then you cut out everything else. A lot of people will do this for a month. So do like no buy November, no buy January to give them a good start in the beginning of the year. And also during the big shopping days, at least out here in the West, was Black Friday being the biggest in America. That happens after Thanksgiving in November. But however you want to structure it, you can do it for a day. You can do it for a week. You can do it for a month, a quarter, or in my case, well, partially a year, and I'll explain more of that later. The other way you can do this spending challenge is doing something called a low buy. And what a low buy is essentially you make that list of essentials, right? So those do not go on any restrictions, but then you give yourself a set of rules with exceptions. So you might say, I'm doing no buy on clothing except boots, because say you don't have any winter shoes, you live in a really cold environment and you need to buy boots, so you might exclude boots from that category. You might say, I am low buying in these categories, but then everything not mentioned is fair game, right? So say you want to low buy on purchasing books, but then every other hobby is fair game. You can still purchase puzzles and crossword books and biking equipment, you name it. It fits your lifestyle and it's unique to you. For me, I am doing a mixture of both because I feel like a strict no buy would be pretty extreme coming from someone that overspends as is. I just think I would fail that. And for me, failure is not spending, or even one day you technically fail, but for me and my personal goal, it is not spending for at least 80% to 85% of the challenge. And doing that for a year would be pretty, I think, disastrous for someone who hasn't done it for a day. So I want to start with a mixture of both. So with all that out the way, let me tell you about my rules for this challenge. Rule number one is it must be budgeted. This goes for basically anything, so that includes my essentials as well. But anything I'm going to purchase during this no buy / low buy, it has to be budgeted. You can kind of see in the back, kind of in this messy desk area, 3 of my cash binders. I was a cash stuffer for a little bit of time, actually, especially before I purchased this house. It actually helped me buy this house, and then I fell off really hard, and I need to get back on the wagon because it really helps me. I'm the type of person that I'm very visual, and so when I have to physically part with even $5, it is much harder than when I'm swiping or clicking online and using digital money. So that is going to be part of it. So what does that mean in essence? So even on, say, an essential, I'll give you an example. Say my computer, that thing has been busted for 6 months because my beautiful fur baby, Gabby, knocked it over and cracked the screen. And if you know anything about all-in-ones versus traditional PC towers and mini PCs, basically once you crack an all-in-one, the cost to repair it is comparable to buying another one. So all that to say, these are essential items in my life that I can name right now that I'll need to do car repair, just general maintenance. In general, I need to replace that computer / repair the screen at some point, et cetera, et cetera. That will come up along the year 2026. But my rule is that it must be budgeted. I can't just run out, put it on credit, do some other things like that. The second rule is actually going to be the strictest and hardest. And this is how I am mixing a no-buy and a low-buy year. So from January, February through March next year, so the first quarter of 2026, I am planning to do a strict no buy. So what does that mean? I'm listing out all my essentials and I can't spend a cent that they've stopped printing in the US, so they're even more valuable to keep. Can't spend a penny on anything else. Now, some would argue 3 months is pretty out there for someone that has not even done this challenge for a day or a week before. But no spend January is already a thing. I was kind of already planning that anyway to catch up on some things. And I was just like, why not extend it? I have more than enough. And if we see buy, no spend for those 3 months ago, I might then just extend it longer, if you get what I mean. But if I can at least hold on for 3 months, which should be easier than doing it, say, around Christmas time in the holiday season, because January, February, March, other than like Valentine's Day, there's not really anything going on where you're giving gifts or spending money necessarily. And so I'm hoping that will ease my way into this challenge. Third rule on my list is to curb impulse purchases. And that would be, I have to keep a 30-day wish list. And what does that mean? If I want to buy something in a low buy category during this year, or not this year, in 2026, then I have to put it on a wish list, either written or saved on my phone somewhere. And I have to see after 30 days, do I still want it? And I'm anticipating during the no spend / no buy in the first couple months of 2026, I'll have a lot of things that I'll see bits and bobs. I'm like, oh, I want so badly that honestly, by the time April rolls around, will I actually really want it? Probably not. And so that's why I want to implement that. So I cut back on to just press buy, go to cart, swipe, et cetera, et cetera. The fourth one on the list is kind of the antithesis of this challenge, but I do think it's actually really important. And as I document this journey on this channel, I'm giving you all at least monthly updates. I really want this to be stated so people don't say, oh, you're not following your no buy. No, like this is part of my rules. And that is, if it's broken, buy it. Now, this is not I accidentally break things and then rush to the store. No. This is, for example, that broken computer. At some point in the year of 2026, I'm getting it fixed. It actually aggravates my chronic eye condition that I have, scleritis. So it's also kind of a health hazard at this point. But I want to be able to budget it, to pay for it. But basically, this is to say, like, I'm not going to run around in raggedy, torn up shoes just because I want to no buy, right? If you're saying, and especially if it has something to do that impacts your health or your quality of life. If you're a runner, and I've actually seen this on YouTube, I can't remember the YouTuber, people were talking, she was talking about how she failed because she got new running shoes. she is literally a runner. You can destroy your feet if you don't have proper running shoes on. So again, these are not like bits and bobs, books, jewelry and stuff. I'm talking about if the car isn't working, if a major thing like my heater breaks in the middle of winter. If it's broken, buy it. But circling back to the first rule, it must be budgeted. So maybe I'm cold and I'm wrapped up in some blankets. I've done that before, until I can budget to fix the heater. But I am not going to consider it a failure on my no buy to fix a heater, right? For example, the fifth rule for my no buy / low buy in 2026 is 26 items or less. So everything that's going to fall in a low buy category, don't want to buy any more than 26 of them. I feel like it's kind of like I will kind of remember it because it's tied to the year. But B, when you really think about it, like go into your bank statements and just look. If you are of a higher income, because obviously you have to address the privilege in the room. You only go on a no buy, low buy when you either have disposable income or you are living beyond your means, right? If you are in survival mode, I've been there. I understand. This is not applicable to you, right? But talking to someone that has a higher income, or your income might not be high, but you could live if you cut out some things, right? I'm pretty sure you may be buying 26 items, and I'm not talking about food and utilities, 26 items in a month. You might be buying that in 2 months. Maybe it is in a year. But a lot of people that do this challenge are buying like overspending on clothes, overspending on books, overspending on XYZ, makeup, or with these project pans you see on YouTube all the time nowadays. Project pantry, where the kind of worst waste, in my opinion, you waste food because you're not eating it fast enough. So I feel like 26 items in an entire year is going to be difficult, challenging, other words that, are synonyms to those two, but not impossible. And so I wanted to give myself some leeway. And then finally, I want to spend no more than $2,600 on my low spend, low buy categories. Now, you might be going, that is a lot of money. And yes, it is a lot of money. But I told you at the beginning of this video, I potentially have to replace a computer. If you bought a computer in forever, anytime since they became public devices, you know how expensive that is. So I could quite literally hit my entire spend for the year if one thing basically breaks and I fix my computer. So part of this is to save money, to be able to travel, to do all those types of things. But part of this is also to see, where is my money going? Because it's one thing if I get to the end of 2026 and I'm like, okay, I overspent, but it was like on basic necessities, I would be a happy clam. If I look back and I'm like, I got close to $2,000 in random knickknacks, even if I get less than 26 or just 26 items, I'll be pretty sad. So with all that said, those are my 6 rules. Now let's get into 6 low buy categories that are in some ways no buy categories for the first 3 months, and then kind of extending to low buy for the rest of the year. Now, the first category actually hurts my soul because it is I kind of rank all of these categories in how much I just spend frivolously in. And this is one where it's frivolous spending, but also it's spending that it's at the core of my identity and my being. And that is art. I love getting a print, especially if it features a black girl or anything fantasy or celestial themed. I am a enamel pen fanatic. This is just one of my collections of enamel pens with different teen girls / shoujo anime characters and manga characters I grew up loving and adoring as a kid. And so I love art. It's part of my being. I love enamel pens. I love prints. I love the random wall art I decorate my house with, even though this room isn't as decorated, but it will be in the future. I just love art. But I overspend in it, and I have enough to look at and appreciate and improve my quality of living without buying more. Another TJ Maxx run is not going to fill my soul, okay? So I really I want to actually know by this, like for the entire year, no exceptions. So no more enamel pins, no more nothing really. And you can kind of hear the crack in my voice because I love art so much. But I do feel that I can actually no buy in the art category for the entire year. The next category is going to be more difficult depending on you. But this is really aligning with another goal I have, which is health related. And that is a no buy for the first 3 months and then a low buy for the rest of the year on fast food. Now, I was originally going to do a bit of a cheat and just say takeout, like no takeout. But when I really looked back at what I spend usually, especially this year, I wasn't overspending on takeout, like, you know, doing DoorDash and Grubhub, etc. What I was overspending on was just eating out in general, and especially fast food. Now, some of you savvy viewers will probably hear that and go, wait a second, that would still allow you to eat at restaurants and do things like that. And that's because I consider those a part of experiences. And that is something I'm excluding from this challenge altogether, because the whole point is so I can go and not be broke as I go to these different experiences in travels that I'm doing and I regularly do each year. But fast food is just one of those things where, you know, I get off a hard day at work and I'm like, do I want to cook? If I don't meal prep, oh Lord, I have to sit there after this 8-hour shift, go home, cook something, pray to God it tastes good because I'm not the best cook out there. And then, you know, wake up and do it all over again. But one is destroying my health because fast food is just terrible for you. I mean, it just is. It's a matter of fact. And two, it's expensive. Like, who remembers when Wendy's had a 4 for $4? Okay, the inflation on a Wendy's 4 for $4 now is a $5 biggie bag. Okay, even fast food is expensive now. So the quality is terrible. It's destroying my health. And it's actually burning a hole in my wallet, which was one of the few good things about fast food in the past, is that at least it was cheap. And it's not even cheap anymore. So I really want to obviously do that hard no buy for the first quarter of 2026. This one, like I said, I am making a carve out for basically sit down restaurants and going out and experiencing that. But I'm on the fence. Comment down below, like maybe some if you have any meal prep tips, because I can meal prep like simple meals, like, you know, oatmeal for breakfast. You might meal prep some croissants, breakfast croissants, etc. But I would love any tips you have to meal prep and not feel like you're like losing your weekend if you work a full-time job like I do. Because one thing about meal prepping for a week is like, then I'm like, oh, well, now I've used one of my weekdays to, you know, work essentially. And I know some people are like, girly pop, you got to eat. But again, that's where the fast food is coming in. So I really just want to know if you have any tips, and because I'm on the fence about no buying this for the entire year. Okay, the next category is, well, I'm kind of showing you a spoiler right now, and that is books / hobbies. Now, I am a book lover. You are actually, depending on if you're a royalty and you're a returning viewer, or if you're a distinguished guest, hello, hi, thanks for coming to this round. But I am actually a booktuber. I have a whole YouTube dedicated to talking about books. I love books. I just got this Kickstarter comic in the mail today, right before I started filming. I'm a book fanatic. It's part of my personality. My cousin literally gave me $50 today for my birthday, and she said, I couldn't find a gift card to your favorite bookstore, so I'm just sending it on Cash App. People know I love books, right? And for reasons I'm not going to get too much into this video, it would be kind of like trauma dumping. I had some really traumatic stuff happen, and I went from being able to read 100 to more than 100 books a year to reading maybe 1 to 0 for about 4.5 years straight. But what did it stop? Buying books. And I know a lot of people joke around that buying books and reading books are two different hobbies, but is it really a joke when you have a TBR that's over the hundreds? That's me currently. And I quite literally, between this thing I got, this Kobo Libra color that my mom gave me as a gift last year for my birthday to help me get back into reading, which it did work. I read 100 books this year. between this digital library of literally thousands of books and my actual physical collection, which isn't in this room right now, but will be soon, I have enough books to read for several lifetimes. If I was just reading my physical collection, I have about 2 to 3 years worth of books to read. I also frequently go to my local library that's actually getting an expansion, so we'll have more selection there. I use the Libby app. I use all different types of things. NetGalley, where you can get free copies or what are called ARCs, advanced reader copies of books. And I just got invited to the ARC team of my favorite author this year, and she publishes multiple books a year. So I have a lot of ways to get my fix of books without spending money. So I'm saying this now, and you all hold me to it. I am planning to not buy a single book in 2026. And that's because A, I want to get through my back catalog, and B, the experiences I'm trying to experience for the next year, maybe 2, are not book related. This year, I went to a ton of book conventions, romance book conventions. What do you do at those conventions? You buy books, right? So, and sometimes art prints and things like that. And so that wasn't really conducive to not buying books. But seeing as I'm going to things to hang out with my friends, trying to plan trips to different countries where I won't even understand the language, so I can't even pick up books, I really, really want to buy books, because I feel like I will have, between the gifts people give me, because they know I love books, to everything else, I just want to buy books. This one will have only one exception. And I know you all are going, not the exceptions, no, but hear me out. I have been collecting a series called The Gray Man for the better part of 12 years. I have been reading the series, loving the series. The series itself, I believe, is turned 20 years old in 2026, and it's still ongoing. And I cannot find one volume 25, for under $60. Now, mind you, the retail cost is like $9, $10, but the resale cost is anywhere from $60 to, I have seen listings for $1,000+. And that's because this particular volume in this very long running series has gone OOP, or out of print. And when something goes out of print, the scalpers, if you know anything about music tickets, you've experienced this, the scalpers start salivating, the scalpers start scamming. And so I do want to make an exception for that. I'm trying to find it before the end of the year. I've had good luck finding other OOP books in the last 3 years for reasonable prices, but I'll be honest with you. If I see a copy of The Gray Man, volume 25, even at $25, I'm probably going to buy it. I'm just going to say it right now. So I'm just going to have that exception to the rule, because if the opportunity presents itself, I don't want to have crushing guilt just because I buy one book in the whole year. So let's just make the 4th category really quick. It's going to be hobbies. I don't know if you can see right here my collection of stationery. I have like a puzzle I haven't finished. I have a crochet I haven't finished. I like a mini building kit. I have like a lot of one-off crafts that I've been doing to supplement my inability to read. But now I've accumulated a lot of those crafts. Like there's a crossword right there, just one. That's the only one I have. I have like one puzzle. You get the drift here. And so I have enough crafts to do one a month and probably actually get through all of them, but I don't need to buy more. I don't need 5 puzzles, right? I don't need 5 crossword books, because just reading books alone is such a massive hobby that I really don't need to add other hobbies to that to fill my time with joy, essentially. Okay, the 5th category was really hard, because originally I was going to say electronics, and then I realized off the bat I have to repair or buy a new PC in 2026, so that didn't really make sense to put on a no-buy list. And so I made this gadgets. I know I have some like unusual categories. Mostly people use like shoes or clothing. Sometimes books. I do see books a lot, but or makeup, they'll have that. But I don't wear makeup currently. I'm getting into it again after many, many years. But I don't have like really a clothing addiction. Lost a ton of weight, and I'm actually practicing to learn how to hand sew again and actually take in my clothes versus buying more. But those aren't really the just like silly purchases I get. And I don't really, like I said, gadgets, silliness. Like, I don't know, knickknacks, bits and bobs. This category is really dedicated to when I'm trolling the TJ Maxx, aisle, when I'm online and a Temu ad comes up and it says, if you get this certain type of magnetic phone holder, filming content will be so much better. When I see an ad and it says, this video editing software will make it so much easier to edit videos, things like that, I get this urge to go, man, I really do actually need a cord organizer shaped like a bunny rabbit for 50 cents. Just random gadgets that cost a little bit of money, but really add up when you count them over time. And the final category is something that's going to be difficult for me to no buy for a year. I'm just going to be upfront. I don't really have any exceptions. Beauty treatments. So while I don't wear makeup, I get my nails done, which this is actually paid for by someone else, but I get my nails done. I get my eyelashes done, though you can see they're jacked right now. I typically get my eyebrows waxed or threaded. I usually get my face waxed. Like, I do beauty treatments versus makeup, and they are expensive. They are very, very expensive. And originally I was like, well, if I budget for them, it's still good. But let's be upfront here. Even if I budget for them, is it really in my budget if I'm going to have to spend a significant amount of my income a year to get these treatments? And to me, it's that I'm not at the income level where this is, money's not an object. I can get my nails, filled and redone like every other week. Hence why my eyelashes are jacked right now, because I can't maintain like a bi-weekly schedule for it. And when I am relearning makeup, cluster lashes from the drugstore could be $5. I could go do that. I could go do my nails myself because I actually have the kits to do that. I used to do my nails all the time. And then when the money, that income creep, the money went up, so did the beauty treatments. And I just really feel like while I love them, while they actually do bring me joy, they, in a way, actually improve my quality of life, especially massages and stuff, because I have like the chronic conditions I told you about. I don't need them to live. And a lot of them I can do myself. I'm gonna just be honest, I'm being lazy. I'm just being lazy. No different than meal prepping. It's easier to get fast food, but it's no longer even cheaper, so there's no reason to do it. It's easier to just have someone else do my nails. But when the prices are so wet as they are right now, why would I do that when I could just do it myself? It's kind of unique, and that's why I said beauty treatments, because I don't plan to no buy any beauty products. What I plan to do is not go and seek professionals to do said beauty treatments. I plan to do them myself. Okay, so that is the reason why I'm doing my no buy, low buy, what the differences are between them and why I'm doing a mixture, my rules, and also my categories. Now, I do have a list of essentials, just to list a couple. I have my mortgage, I have my utilities, I have my car, right? Those are essentials. But everything else I did not mention on this list, such as clothing, such as electronics, actually, as I mentioned before, such as beauty, like the beauty products, they are actually still included. They are just not on a no buy. They are on a low buy. So what does that mean? If I get a new shirt, that is going to count to my 26 items. If I finally get a new computer, that's going to count towards my 26 items. But I am allowed to purchase them. I'm just going to have to budget them on a wish list, not buy them in the beginning of the year, etc., etc. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I have talked a lot. I hope it made sense. I hope you're excited to maybe try a no buy, low buy. Let me know down in the comments what you're doing, what you're trying, why you're doing it, etc. If you have any tips, if you've ever done this before, if you feel like I have too many exceptions, right? I feel like my exceptions are pretty decent. It's anything that falls into experience in that one comic I talked about for my no buys, and then everything else low buy has those set rules. But let me know. I am learning. I am a student right now, and I want to get better at managing my money. I did for a brief period of my life when I was buying this house and money was not an object. On that brief time, I was making the most money I ever made in my life, etc. And then I was laid off. And because I had not built up a savings habit, I had drained all my savings basically to buy this house. It really, really messed me up. And so that's my root cause reason why. But again, I am learning, and I would love to know what you're doing, how you did it before, and any lessons that you have. Well, with that said, I'm going to finish this hot chocolate that has now gone from lukewarm to probably cold. I always find it interesting when people have coffee, etc. in these videos, and I'm like, the cup is full, and I'm like, I know that thing is cold by the end of the video. But with that said, cheers to winter. Cheers to a new year coming. I loved having you here, Royalty. And if you're a distinguished guest, I hope that you like and subscribe so you can follow the journey in 2026. And until next time, bye.